Hey Gators, I thought I would do a quick presentation on branding yourself. This is one that gets kind of confusing and a little overused, and it feels kind of weird and cliche and kind of corporate culture, and I think we need to slow it down and really think about what it is. So just a few quick slides to help you think through it, especially as you begin your personal branding assignment, so that you can kind of wrap your head around it. So again, just remember that rebranding yourself can revitalize your job search. Some of us have brands and we don't even know it, and others go, I need to create my brand. Or, you know what, I was working well before social media came into the picture, or I have very limited social media use. I don't know if I want to do my social media into professional business. I kind of just enjoy it for personal. So it's tricky to navigate the branding kinds of stuff, but let's go through it and you can kind of think about maybe some ways that will work for you. And I'll give you some examples from my professional life too that you may find useful. So what do you mean branding myself? What are you talking about? Again, this is kind of more recent, not terribly recent, but I would say we probably didn't say branding myself before the 1990s. So it's been around the block a few times, but all it really is a self-marketing narrative, okay? It's saying, you know, this is really what I'm about, and this is how I sell myself, as far as the kind of person I am to look attractive to others, right? It's self-marketing. Branding is the ongoing strategic, creative, and proactive development, positioning, and marketing of an individual, their career experience, skills, and leadership abilities, as well as their personal passions and interests. So it's kind of like your entire resume in one approach, right? So it's a lot about positioning. Positioning is really the key word in all of this. It's putting your best foot forward. And for some people, again, going back to personality profiles, really do not like self-marketing. It's uncomfortable. It feels like bragging. It feels like, obnoxious, or, they get a lot of self-loathing out of it. It's just not really something in their comfort zone. So I challenge you to kind of rethink that and think about it as just one element of you talking about your own career path. It doesn't have to be full throttle you, but it is one that's going to come up. You'd be surprised at how many jobs I've seen happen because of connections through social media, and a strong branding element that persuaded people to come forward and seek them out for a position. So let's talk about your brand. When we talk about brand, it really encompasses more than just your cover letter, your resume, and a LinkedIn profile. Those materials that directly relate to your job search. It's really the total package of how you represent yourself. And really, it's a reflective process, which requires the overhaul of your materials and unification of your social media presence. So it's how you want to represent yourself socially and professionally in your networks. And you can have different networks that do that for you. So some people say, Facebook is for personal, LinkedIn is for professional, or maybe I have some other social media networks, one for my neighborhood, one for fellow students. Maybe you have multiple accounts that do this for you. Or maybe you use Instagram this way, YouTube that way, Twitter this way or that way. And you can have, again, multiple profiles that you use for different purposes, and that's fine. Just make sure that there are common threads, because if you have too many of those, it can be a little disorganizing and chaotic. It also invites you to see yourself from a new perspective. Like, what if someone came across my posts, my page? What would be their conclusions about who I am as a person, or who I could be as an employee for them? It can also give you a renewed sense of focus and purpose, which stands to energize your job search. So it kind of helps you recognize what you have going for yourself and what is attractive about you as a person. Not physically attractive, but more attractive as far as your qualities and your traits, your efforts, and your achievements. So again, a lot happens over the course of a year, which influence and enhance your ambitions and skill set. So you have things like, new relationships, you have new projects, you have different responsibilities, a new job, unexpected developments, organizational changes, maybe even some changing professional interests. And those are some really easy places to start developing your brand. And documenting it. And sometimes it leads to things like resume updates, or maybe I should mention that in a cover letter the next time I go out in a job search, right? So again, build in those calendar timelines to keep those up to date and consistent with your message and how you represent and self-market yourself. So your experiences really act as tools for your future, altering your professional narrative, which change as you grow, learn, and advance. So what you would say about yourself at the very beginning of your career versus now would probably be quite different. So I put these 3 circles together here at the bottom of the slide to give you a sense of how to go forward, right? So you have sense of direction and where I have been, right? Your accomplishments, your past, your experiences, and then you have your brand. And then suddenly when you go into future-oriented thinking, it's awareness and where I am headed, right? So your brand should encompass both of those areas, where I've been, what I've learned, and where I want to go, so that it's pretty clear, you know, what direction I'm going to go. So continue to think about your brand in that way. Again, here are some prompts that you can use to develop your brand. And some people like to copy this slide and kind of use this as a way to get a profile started on a professional website such as LinkedIn, so that they can kind of get going. And I'll take a few moments at the end of this lecture to show you my LinkedIn profile so you can also get some ideas. So set aside time to revise your materials. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. What new tech skills did you learn? Certifications you accomplished? What communication skills did you refine? What leadership competencies did you hone? Maybe you were on a task force or a leadership group or an ad hoc committee, which you served on, which maybe was meant to do some problem solving and then it was dissolved later, but you guys did some really cool stuff. Maybe some additional responsibilities that you took on, a recent promotion you received, remote work groups that you joined or led. Sometimes we kind of volunteer to be a part of committees that we're not required to be a part of, but they actually give us lots of brainstorming and access to ideas that really help us in our jobs. Those would be really good ones to talk about. What has this taught you about your future direction? What new academics, scientists, writers, activists, philosophers have you discovered that might yield good hashtag Tuesday thoughts or hashtag Monday motivators, right? So, you know, these are kind of ways to kind of get quick, simple messages out that people can hear and feel inspired by. What articles have you discovered this year to read, follow, and circulate? Again, so just ways to think about how to represent yourself professionally. Well, I promised you I'd show you my LinkedIn profile, and here it is. Okay, so again, use a professional profile photo. So this is the campus of the University of Florida, and I have a professional portrait taken. Now, if you do not have a professional portrait, you can actually go get that portrait taken on campus. So if you go to the Career Connection Center, they have professional photography available so that you can get a nice portrait done and actually add that to your profile or, you know, as part of your materials. So that's something that's kind of nice that is part of Career Connection Center here at University of Florida. So get a professional portrait taken, use a nice background that illustrates your professional profile. For me, it was campus, right? All those crazy buildings. And then start building your profile. So this is about me, all right? So I have like a bio that I wrote, okay? So this says, you know, this is my education, these are some of my accomplishments, places I've worked, and maybe just some fun personal things about me, like the fact that I really love the NBC hit show The Office and peanut butter M&Ms. So that way it feels kind of personal, you know, but also gives kind of a sense of some of my accomplishments, okay? No, I'm not going to make changes. Discard. Okay, then, you know, have some professional pictures of me, maybe you doing your work. So these are pictures of me with students at graduation. I actually was able to get newer robes, so I have some different robes. One set of robes I use is like Santa Claus robes. They're kind of white and red. And then these are some of my colleagues that I've taught with in the past. These are people that I completed my education with, fellow graduate students. And again, some of my professional accomplishments, both in graduate study and as a teacher, right? So we have all kinds of different ways that we can document through photography some of the things we've done. And maybe, again, it's just like pictures with coworkers and stuff like that. That's totally cool. Your dashboard, your posts, there's all kinds of fun little widgets that LinkedIn has. I try to send out things like congratulations or kudos, and there's all kinds of ways you can do that across people in your network that you're talking to. And then you have your work experience, and what's nice is you have these cool little icons here. So I'm here at University of Florida. I was at BYU for a time. I was at University of Oklahoma, BYU, Southern Methodist University. So I've actually talked to people. My career's kind of interesting. Since the age of 21, I have worked at universities full time. So that's going on 20 years this year. This is my work anniversary. Here's my education at University of Oklahoma, University of Louisville, Southern Methodist University. I have my bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD, some of the honors that I received during those programs, and where I got my associate's degree. I don't want to look like, a crazy accomplished person. So clearly you could put certifications in here too. I'm an educational junkie. I love education, but you could certainly put other things in here as well. Licenses and certifications. This is research training that I finished. Volunteer experience, things that I'm a part of, and might be religious or civic groups. Skills and endorsements. This is kind of fun. So I'm endorsed in higher education, research and teaching. I'm endorsed in statistics, in distance learning, in adult education, curriculum design. That feels pretty good, right? Public speaking. That's a good one. Other skills, right? Recommendations, and then you have lists of things like accomplishments. So I have 16 courses that I've designed over the course of 20 years. I have 4 publications. I have a project. These are some of my interests, some of the places I follow, right? But that's just my LinkedIn profile, right? This is just kind of a basic way to do this. And again, you have to make it work for you and your photos, your posts, your skills, what you say about yourself in your profile. It's going to very much depend on your brand. So always go back to that brand and use these as things you can do to build your profile, right? And this slide's also a good slide, how to get started, because you start documenting your work life or your accomplishments. And if you don't have much of a work life, maybe it's your school life, things that you've accomplished in school. Making the dean's list or in honor societies or working on a senior thesis project, right? But always go back to what your brand is, right? It's really about how you represent yourself, your self-marketing narrative, and how it's perceived in some kind of visual environment. So hopefully you found this helpful, and you can use this to go forward on your personal branding assignment. Take care and good luck.